What's up, everybody? Benton Blakeman here for the Hand History Lounge. We are back with Online Grind, Volume 10. We're still in quarantine, and we're still grinding, and everything is still good. Let's get straight into the action over here on Table 4. We 3-bet Pocket Kings versus an Undergun Open. He made it 3, we made it 10. He called. Flop, he checks. We bet half pot on the flop. He called on the turn, pretty simple, just put him in because he's got only half a pot left. And got him in pretty good shape. We're going to go ahead and run it once. And hold up. Good start to the video. Take her down, Charlie Brown. So I've got 5 games going today. I've got 2 tables over here on the far left table. We'll just call this table 1, and then we'll slide back and forth. This one is anonymous game, so there's no screen names, just player numbers. I believe this one is a 50 cent a dollar. All the rest of them are smaller. I'm trying to mix limits here. Before the video I was playing 2-4 no limit. Now I'm playing down to 10 cent, 20 cent no limit. Trying to make sure I play in some games that you guys, especially you Hand History Lounge people, play in, so you can kind of relate to it. Making a video at 2-4 is fun because it's bigger money and everything, but if you're not playing those limits, there's a lot of things that go into it that you wouldn't use in your normal game or could actually be counterproductive to you. So anyway, we are all over the board here. We've got on table 1, we've got a 30 cent, 60 cent no limit, and then the 50 cent a dollar. Over here on table 2, 20 cent, 40 cent no limit. Table 3, 10 cent, 20 cent no limit. And table 4, 20 cent, 40 cent no limit. All these games are 200 big blind maxes. So 250 a dollar, 120 and 30, 60, 80 max in the 20 cent, 40 cent, and 40 max in the 10 cent, 20 cent. On table 2, ace 8 of spades facing a limp. We're going to open 4x, standard of 3x plus 1 big blind for the limp, and check our option over on table 1 with 6-7 offsuit in the big blind. Over on table 1, we flop an open-end straight draw. I think checking is perfectly fine, but I think betting a small amount 4 ways is also fine. It leaves our options open. If we don't get raised, we can actually barrel this flop, this board. And king deuce offsuit's a fold. Get called in 3 spots, not ideal. Now mostly we're just going to be looking to check fold once we get called in 3 spots. It's not a spot I want to start barreling. Ace 8 of spades doesn't really connect with this board a ton. Obviously we have a gut shot, but that board fits us pretty well. So this is a board that I'm going to be betting a small size with pretty much my whole range here. And I'm going to bet half pot with top pair over on table 4. We are multi-way, and apparently I clicked check, so that did not work. So we'll try to bet half pot on the turn. Half pot, confirm. There we go. Button clicking 101. And we're going to fold to the check raise. If we had a spade on the board here with the ace 8 of spades, we could continue versus a check raise, a small check raise, and peel. What we're going to do now is, since all the draws missed, the clubs, jack, queen, 7, 8, 8, 9, I'm going to check, and I'm going to use my hand as a bluff catcher. Sometimes he can also have a 6, but I think our hand plays fine just to check and catch a bluff. And he actually value bet worse, ace 10. So that hand plays out the same either way. I think if I bet the river, he's calling with ace 10. So while it looks like we pick something off, realistically, that hand probably plays out the same way. So as normal, with a little lull in the action here, I'll mention, if you're not a member of the Hand History Lounge, check us out, www.handhistorylounge.com. Hand History Lounge is an online poker. We use the word training site, but it's not a traditional training site. It's more of a community that myself and Andrew Nemi started in September of 2017. It's a monthly membership fee, $40 a month. You come in, you post your hands. Every hand you post gets personal feedback from myself or from Andrew. So you're getting feedback from tried and true professional poker players. Also, the members can comment on the hands, and there's some discussion back and forth, but ultimately I comment on every single hand played. Along with that, we're also doing weekly Zoom meetings in the form of a lesson where we discuss these videos or any other specific topics. And then we have a little fun meetup game after here on Poker Bros. On table 1, facing a limp here, we're going to go ahead and isolate from the button, make it 4x. So anyway, if you have not checked it out, check out www.handhistorylounge.com. First 2 weeks, give it a free trial. Let me know. If you want in, I'll put you in there for 2 weeks. We'll call it the quarantine special. If you don't like it after 2 weeks, no big deal. I will remove you from the group. If you like it, set up payment, and we'll welcome you to the family. Over on table 2, we're going to make it 4x with the ace-8 suited. And on table 1, we're just going to bet half pot when check 2 with top pair, because a lot of worse hands can continue. 10 jack, king jack, king queen. Random hands like queen 9 or jack 9. What we're going to do is a lot of people check here. I like to bet the turn here and then look to check back all rivers. This way I still charge that portion of his range. I don't give those hands a free card, and we can just show down. Oh. Hope everybody's been safe and sound during this time. It's been definitely kind of weird. But I'm getting back in the online mindset and actually really enjoying playing online. With the ace-8, we are 3 ways. We have some overcards, but this board's pretty good for callers' ranges, so we go ahead and check the ace-8. We're looking to mostly just check fold. And that's exactly what we'll be doing. In other news, they just reopened golf courses in Nevada, so pretty excited about that. I was able to get out and play once. The courses are in amazing shape because they've gone a month with nobody touching them, other than the groundskeepers. But hopefully during this time I can get out and try to get in a round of golf a week or so. And for those of you who've been with me for a while, you saw my project 1.4, which I never really followed up on. Vlog making is a tough business. It's a tough thing to do. Kudos to Andrew. I had trouble getting out there and recording what I needed to record, but if you did follow it, you'll be pleased to know I did succeed in getting my handicap underneath a 1.4. I got down as low as a 0.8. Then the wheels kind of fell off. I did not play in the U.S. Open qualifier. I was in a spot where I was fine handicap-wise, but I was unsure of... I was very unsure of myself and was having a lot of self-doubt. And then I decided, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I went to sign up, and I realized that it had closed a week before I went to sign up. So, that was that. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Now I'm playing golf again as a hobby. I'm probably around a three or so handicap now. But I enjoy it. So anyway, enough golf talk. Back to poker. Just want to give an update to you guys who've been around with me for a while and watched the Project 1.4 videos. I wish I would have had the camera rolling earlier when I was playing my 2-4 session. I had a fun pot with aces where under the gun made it 10. Under the gun 2 made it 30, and it folded to me in the small blind, and I made it 124. The $10 razor folded, the $30 razor called. The flop was 667. I checked, and they just went all in for 380 into about 270, 280, and I snap called. They had 2 9s. and we ran it 3 times, and unfortunately they caught a 9 on the river on the last run. So still profited, but kind of was unfortunate to leave about 300 bucks on the table there. 8-7 suited, we came in for a raise. He's leading into us on this board. This is just a simple fold. Not much to say about it. But yeah, there's a lot of debate in the hand history lounge. Should we run it once? Should we run it twice? Should we run it 3 times? Truth of the matter is, doesn't really matter. Doesn't affect your equities too much. It's all just the same thing, running it over and over. But yeah, I mean, if they're going to get there on the third run, you should probably only run it twice, right? Over on table 1, looks like I flopped a straight from the big blind and an unraised pot. If you noticed, I bet over pot and was called, and I will continue to do the same thing on the turn because I am charging. He's just not going to have many 2 pairs. He would have raised those. I'm going to continue betting. I'm going to charge his flush draws or his pair plus straight draws because he's going to be pretty indifferent to my sizing. And not going to be folding facing a raise. This is troubling. This puts the 4 card straight on the board. He's still happily shoving. He could have a hand like Ace-4 of spades or something, but for the most part, we're just going to be losing here. I think he also has 8-9 some when he takes this line. He's looking for max value, and he's not getting it from me. So what he is getting from me is a tomato right in the pie hole. Over on table 3, we're going to be folding Queen 10 facing a button raise. Some people like to 3-bet it, and I think 3-betting versus a button raise who's isolating is fine, but we can find better hands than Queen 10 offsuit to do it with. Jack 6 suited from the small blind is a fold. Had we had this hand in the big blind, closing the action for a 2.5x, we would definitely be calling from the big blind with the Jack 6 suited, getting a great price. But in the small blind, we can't call because there's still the big blind left to act who might 3-bet and squeeze us right out of the pot. So this, I'm going to just call from the small blind here. This is a touchy spot where people talk about what to do. The button limp's obviously super weak, but our hand is not that strong. We're going to be out of position. I don't mind just seeing the cheap flop for a half of a bet and pretty much just playing ABC poker here. Ace Jack offsuit from the big blind, closing the action versus a 3x, a call. Does not play great multi-way. So I think this is a great candidate. If we wanted to look for some squeeze candidates, I think this would be a very good one. And over on table 1, we're going to raise the 7-5 suited from the button. Notice on table 4, we use a pretty large size, about a 6x size, because our normal will be 4x out of position, plus, you know, several callers. Add a little pepper in there, and could have even gone bigger had we really wanted to. 7-5 completely whiffed this, but this is definitely worth a third pot bet. Because it's so dry, he's going to have a lot of check folds. He's also going to have a lot of check calls that turn into check folds on turns. So if we pick up equity on a turn, not so much that equity, because 8-9 gets there, 7-8 now has a draw. None of these hands are folding. But I meant more so a heart, or if we catch an ace, king, or queen, we can barrel the turn. As played, we're just going to check back, because that card really hits their range pretty good. And this card's terrible because it also improves their range when they're check calling with deuces on the flop. Complete for a half a blind with the ace-6 over on table 4. Flop bottom pair, not looking to get involved here, just checking. Hopefully it checks through. We'd love to get the showdown, but we don't expect to. And facing a 2/3 pot bet. It's easy fold. Completing with the ace-3 offsuit from the small blind. Again, these hands are not good. These ace-6 offsuit, ace-3 offsuit, but we're getting 2, 4, 6. We had 1 in there, so 7. We're getting 7 to 1 to make a call. And any ace-high hand is just not, you're not that big of a dog against, almost any hand. Or, I mean, you're 7 to 1. I guess you're that much of a dog to aces, and that's about it. Not that you realize all that equity from out of position, but it's such a good price that it's just a mistake to be folding for that small of a bet. Over on table 4, if Red Storm raises, we'll probably be 3-betting. Yeah, because he's going to raise wide. He's a table hero, which means that he has a VPIP of over 50. So we'll be raising for value. As played, he folded, and we're going to isolate the limper. Folding king 4 offsuit on the button here. And just playing pretty straightforward here. Just check back my ace high hand. I don't see him folding too much. I don't rarely ever see him folding better. And I'm happy to try to get the showdown. I still beat hands like king jack, king queen, king 10, queen 10. A whole lot of hands that he would limp in with. So we're just going to check down, and he has 9-6. So no point was he folding top pair. There's no need for us to go off bluffing a bunch of chips. We lose 4 big blinds there, and we put 4 big blinds in. Pretty good spot. Ace jack versus 9-6. The game's all about edges, so we just had an edge. We capitalized on our edge by getting more money in when we had the best of it. We protected our money when we didn't. We didn't put another penny in bad, and that's kind of how the game works long term. Is get in the money when you can, and protect it when you don't. Shout out to Hand History Lounger, Ben. Thanks for joining the table, buddy. I see you there. Don't want to call you out with your screen name and everything, but thank you for joining. Hope you enjoy the video. Not much action going on now, but we'll make the best of it. The lounger who I just mentioned, Ben, is one hell of a cello player, and he is also the king of dad jokes. When we get on our Zoom call, he decides to lighten up the mood by giving us some of the corniest jokes I've ever heard, but it's all worth it. We love him. This episode of Online Grind, Volume 10, is brought to you by Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a favorite of all Hand History Loungers. Just kidding. They didn't pay me for that. But it is very good. If you haven't tried it, go out and grab you a bottle of Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's amazing. Drink it straight over ice. I'm not sure if a glass a day is really good for you, but I'm doing my best to find out. So, if you're new to these videos, no, that's a little bit too loose. I'm going to open the Queen 9 suited for video's sake, but it's a little loosey-goosey. I'd definitely be opening Queen 10 suited under the gun. Queen 9 suited it's just a fold. I could have gone bigger too with this guy who posted, but that's alright. We're looking for some hands to play. Flop middle pair, we're going to start off by checking. Again, no need to bluff. This is a board where he's never going to bluff this board. When he bets, he just has it, because this board is all us too. So nobody's bluffing this board. So we can safely just check and try to get the showdown or check fold. I know I was going to say something about if you're new to these videos, but I forgot where my train of thought went. But that's okay. It happens as you get older. It was probably just filler anyway with no hands going on. Try to keep these videos to about 30 minutes. I wish I could pack in more hands. Hopefully we find some cool spots, but I find if I make the videos much longer than 30 minutes, it's tough to hold people's attention that long. I'm already kind of boring and dull as it is. King Jack offsuit on table 3. I'm going to open for 3x from the button. Now, we were talking about junk hands from the small blind getting a good price. Ace X, you just have to call. Hands like this, I don't care what kind of price I'm getting, I'm not calling Jack 6 offsuit over here on table 1. It will just never realize any of its equity, which is a very, very poor hand. And facing a 50-cent bet and a dollar raise, I'm still going to call, just because to me that's almost like they checked. It was still less than half the pot, and I have equity, so I'm going to take a turn. Now facing an overpot turn bet, so a pretty easy fold here. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So if you're new to these tables and you haven't seen this yet, if you're unfamiliar, the site is called Poker Bros. It's a invitation-only site. If you are looking to play poker online and you want to get onto it, let me know. I'll put some info about it at the end of the video. Just send me a message. We'll get you set up. It's not a big deal. King 8 suited from the cutoff. Open to 3x. I think it's perfectly fine to open from the cutoff with King 8 suited. I would be folding from the hijack. 2 queens under the gun. This one's a raise for sure, and we're going to go 4x because there's a limper back. I mean a poster back here, new player. Ace queen offsuit on table 3. Going to open a 3x from the hijack. Get 2 calls and 1 overcard on the flop. If we were heads up, I would lead small here, but because we're 3 ways, I'm going to go ahead and start with a check. If it checks to the button, I'll be calling 1 bet. With ace queen, I still think I like a small bet, even though this board isn't great. I'll bet half pot in position. And with the queens, now I'll start betting. I do not need to bet big because I do want to get value from a jack. And we'll check back the ace queen. Even though we have the ace of clubs, we'll check back. When the top card pairs, it's not amazing. I don't see him folding a 7 or a 6 now. So we'll check back and take our equity into the river. Plus, it would really stink to get check raised by a hand like 10 jack when we have pretty decent equity with the ace of clubs. As played, we don't beat much, so go ahead and fold. Over on table 3, we'll open the suited ace. In the smaller games, open all suited aces. As the games get bigger, 2-4, no limit, and higher, I will scale back some of the suited aces that I open. I probably won't open ace deuce, ace 3, ace 6, ace 7 suited from early position. I still open ace 4 and ace 5 because they play a little bit better, as well as ace 8 suited and higher. And 6-4 suited from the cutoff is a open to 3x. Suited king from the cutoff, open to 3x. Queen 4 suited, if no one raises, we'll be completing over on table 2 for another half a blind. Facing a raise, we just fold. 6-4 suited, we flop middle pair. And ace deuce suited, we flop bottom pair. So with the 6-4, I think that even though I normally check a lot of middle pairs, I think betting is fine just to protect versus overcards. And with the ace deuce suited, we'll just check back with no backdoor flush draw. And we're going to bet our flopped flush over on table 4. A lot of hands going here. We get check raise with the 6-4, so that's a fold. With the 8s, we can check on a 2 overcard board. With the ace deuce, we're going to go ahead and raise 3x's bet when we get led into. And facing a check raise here, I'm going to call in position with the nut flush on table 4. And we're going to be stacking off versus this guy, considering this is cutoff versus big blind. Don't love the fact that the board paired, but he shouldn't have a ton of 10s or 9s in his hand. I'm still going to be calling here, I think. We're going to raise the river. 14. I'm just going to call here. And let him have the lead going into the river. Obviously still stacking off, but I want him to have the lead. Raising would have been fine there on the turn. The thing is, if he's bluffing, I want to give him chances to bluff. And now on the river, he bet half pot, left half back, so we're going to go ahead and just raise him. He did have 9s full. Good for him. I thought he would 3-bet some of his 9s or 10s, but that's fine. I mean, that's poker. It happens. What ended up happening with the ace deuce here? He folded the river, I'm assuming. I asked for hands, and boy, did they ever come. On the river, I bet, and he folded. Okay. Yeah, that was a flurry. Well, they sure could have spread those out over the 30 minutes. Raising 5-4 suited and getting 3-bet. 40, 80, 200 blinds deep. A little bit over a 3x. We're out of position. I'm going to go ahead and fold. If he had raised a little bit less than 3x, I definitely could have considered calling when I'm 200 blinds deep. Yeah. Yeah, I've got no problem stacking off with the king 4 versus a player like this. He just happened to have it that time, which is fine. They are allowed to make hands as well. This can go either way on table 1. Queen jack offsuit facing 2 limps. For video's sake, I'm going to go ahead and raise to 6. I think anything but calling is okay. I do not like calling because then we're going to go multi-way with a hand that doesn't play well multi-way. I think raise or fold is the way to go with a hand like queen jack. You'd really like to get it heads up. It looks like heads up is not an option in these games, so maybe that's a takeaway from it, is that queen jack offsuit would be better to be a fold in these lower stakes games because people are indifferent to your raise sizes. So go ahead and raise 6 or 7 when you have really big hands, and then just fold the rest. No need to get fancy with queen jack. Just go ahead and fold. We missed. And we have ace king on table 2. Gonna go ahead and make it 4x versus a limp. Based on what we know, we probably should start going bigger because, again, it seems they're indifferent to sizing. So when they're indifferent to sizing from an exploitive standpoint, we should just be going bigger and have them call. When we have the best of it, get them to put in more money. So that should be one good takeaway from this video. Second takeaway would be when you flop king high flushes, try not to lose. Ace king with the king of hearts, so we have the backdoor nut flush draw. We just kind of have it all here. But we don't want to start checking. We don't want to give them free looks with queen jack, queen 10, jack 10. We still want to go ahead and make a bet. I think that sizing's fine. And we're going to raise the 3s. Should have gone 4th. I don't know why I thought this was blinds, but this was a limper. So I could have gone 4x. King 8 suited on table 4. We're going to complete for another half blind. Flop middle pair, no back doors. We'll start with a check. With threes, we have a few options here. We could check or we can bet. I think betting small is fine, just to protect versus random overcards. We can also still get called by ace deuce, which now beats us. So we'll be checking back turns and looking to bank a 3 on the river. Oops, that was not a raise. And he leads into us. I think it's still fine to call here. I think he can have some bluffs, and we have some equity. And then we can evaluate rivers. If he ends up with ace deuce, it's going to be pretty sick when I said that he could peel with ace deuce. If he bets rivers here, we're just going to be calling. Even though it's 9 into 26, I don't see him calling us with much worse. So we just go ahead and call. Yeah, and that's fine. We beat 8s. We had a lot of equity versus 8s. I'm fine with our call on the turn. No need to raise the river. He's never paying us off anyway. So that all was fine. I'm going to start wrapping up the video here. We just hit the 30-minute mark. We'll play until our big blind on every table. So this one will run just over 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes or so. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with me, guys. Again, always wish we had more cool spots, but there was that cool little flurry around the 25-minute mark or so. It's always fun to get involved in some hands when you're recording and kind of get to talk through my thought process on it. I know there's already going to be questions about this king high flush hand. I'm going to kind of answer those right now while we're killing time. I'm going to raise over here on table 4. He's a short stack, so I don't think he's going to be folding to a raise. I'm just raising to take the lead in the hand. I can check back a lot of flops. Maybe get the blinds to fold some hands that, I don't really want in there. Like 7-8 offsuit that can just easily flop an overpair but won't call a raise. So there's no need to go big when I don't think this guy's folding. It's just I'm raising just to accomplish exactly what's happened here, is I can check back turns. I'll check back flops and get to a turn. Sometimes they let you check all the way to the river, and that's a pretty big win when that happens. Had I had aces here, I would have probably went 5x in an exploitive fashion, because again, he's going to be indifferent to my sizing. As is, facing a bet, we just fold. So I know there's going to be a lot of questions about the king high flush hand. The truth of the matter is, you really can't go wrong with how you play that hand when you flop a hand that big. Like, I bet the flop, he raised. I decided to call. If I would have re-raised, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with re-raising there. It may be better than calling. It may be slightly worse. It's tough to make a mistake when you're in spots like that. I decided to call. Now on the turn when he bet, again, raising would have been absolutely fine. There's a lot of merits to raising. We could avoid another diamond hitting on the river, and when he doesn't have a full house, it kills our action if he has a small flush. But versus a maniac, loose cannon, or table hero style, they're going to have some bluffs, and I think keeping those bluffs in is perfectly fine, because all the money's getting in on the river either way. 6-4 suited, this is a pretty cool spot. This is a fold for me. Oh, I didn't even see a raise. I thought this was a limp. But let's just pretend it was a limp. Limp, limp, limp. It's still a fold because we're going to end up going 5 or 6 ways. And 6-4 suited, even though it is a multi-way hand per se, it is not a massively multi-way hand. It starts getting some pretty nasty reverse implied odds once we get into 5-way pots. 3-way pots are fine. 4-way pots get kind of iffy, and 5-way pots are just a no-go unless you happen to be in the blind and you're getting in for a half a bet. Well, then you just toss in the other portion of the small blind and you take a flop and proceed with caution, knowing that you've got some pretty nasty reverse implied odds going on. Ace-6 suited on table 3 from middle position facing a limp. We're going to isolate to 4x. Again, we're going to use a 4x size. I think it's good enough to fold these players out for the most part. And don't expect them to be folding. But I don't need to make it tiny either and invite everybody in. So I think the 4x is a good size there. And we could definitely go bigger if we had a stronger hand. And we completely whiff 3 ways. Let's not burn up chips. Let's just go ahead and check. Still checking. And still checking the river. And, it's unfortunate. It's one hand that probably would fold at some point. But again, I'm not in the business of trying to get people to always fold the best hands just because I raise pre-flop. I think that's the biggest mistake my students face is they decide that because they raise pre-flop, they have to c-bet every flop, or they have to fight for it. On King 5-4, no diamond, we just have so little to fight for. If this was King 5-4 with a diamond, we could possibly make a small third pot bet because there's going to be some turns that we want to barrel, even 3 ways. Because it is range advantage us with a king on the board. We're going to have more ace kings and king queens and aces and kings than they do. But we just want to stay out of barreling these spots where we just don't have much equity at all. And I think that's the difference with people who struggle is at the end of the day, if they were running tracking software or something, they would see that they're probably just get themselves in too many spots by c-betting too many flops that they shouldn't be c-betting in multi-way pots. And then they pick up some kind of equity, and they've saw in a video before where if you pick up equity, you're supposed to keep barreling. And they bet again and get called, and the river they blank out. And at that point, they don't know what to do. And you've already invested 20 blinds or so in it, and then you end up burning up those 20 blinds. So we want to try to stay away from doing that. Now I've heard, oh well, it's weak if you raise and you don't c-bet. No, there's nothing weak about it. We're just making good decisions with our money. We're putting it in when it's in a good spot. We're protecting it when we don't have a good spot. Over on table 3, open 6s to 3.5 big blinds under the gun. Opening to 3 big blinds, fine. 4 big blinds, fine. I use 3.5 a lot just because I'm kind of weird. King Jack offsuit on table 4. Under the gun 1 is a fold. Even if he hadn't limped in, it's still a fold. What's going to happen is we're going to play this hand, and almost always someone behind us will be calling, and it's just not going to play that well out of position. We've got a 4-way pot here with 3 hearts. I think people will be tempted to say I have second pair. I'm going to bet. Again, this is a spot where I'm just not, or 5 ways, I'm sorry. 5 players. So this is just not a spot that I'm going to be looking to get a lot of money in. I'm probably already behind, and if I'm not, I'm probably behind in equity based on their hand. Even a hand like 10-9 offsuit with a heart is flipping against me. And at these stakes, I think people will still peel those hands on this flop just because they have a flush draw. So this is just going to be a fold. Alright, we'll make this the last hand of the video. See if we can get lucky and get dealt one over on table 4 as we're out of all of our other games. And we don't. We end up with the 4-deuce offsuit. So we will call that a video, guys. Thank you for showing up. Sorry it ran long. We're almost at the 40-minute mark. I appreciate you watching Online Grind, Volume 10. I'm going to try to put one of these out every week. I used to really care that I only got a few hundred people who watched them. Now, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm doing it for my Hand History Lounge family, who has, a lot of these guys have stuck with me for 2.5 years and allowed me to coach them, and I really feel like they're part of my family. So I want to take a second just to thank each and every one of you who's a member of the Hand History Lounge for hanging out with me and Andrew and supporting us, and and just being really cool and open-minded, and everybody just really gets it, and it's really a family. And if you're not part of it, you really should consider it. And like I said, first 2 weeks are on me. Give it a shot. Quarantine special. But shout out to all you Hand History Lounge guys and girls out there. I really appreciate y'all. Take care, everybody. I'll see you next time for Online Grind Volume 11.